Buongiorno, ciao a tutti. Sous Chef have asked me to make my delicious, fabulous, luscious Osso Bucco alla Milanese to go with a saffron risotto alla Milanese, which we're going to make in a little while. So here we go. These are the beautiful Osso Bucco steaks, as you can see. But to begin with, we're going to chop up some vegetables to make a soffritto base. So celery, very important and often not done, is the stringing. This is one of the things that people, just should take a little bit of time over, is getting rid of these strings. And in some parts of Sicily, these are considered a real delicacy. These get tossed into semola rimacinata flour and then thrown into the deep fat fryer, and they emerge as these crispy golden bows which are used to garnish all sorts of dishes. So it really is a waste not, want not. What I do is I cut things into a reasonable sort of size, and then basically you're holding the knife as if it was a tennis racket and you're going to strike a backhand. So you've got a really firm grip on the handle. Now this hand doesn't do anything at all except hold the knife steady, and then you can basically speed up as much as you want. And of course, when it comes to cooking these, it's always the carrot that takes the longest time. So when you're tasting it to see whether the vegetables are tender, it's always the carrot you want to be going for first. So I'm going to peel the carrots, not because I necessarily need to, but because I want the skins for my stock, really. So for a soffritto, by the way, is not an ingredient, it's a process. And a soffritto can be made up of all sorts of things. It can be just onion and butter, the onion and celery, it can be garlic and chili, it can be garlic, chili and anchovy. They're all called soffritto. The holy trinity is always the carrot, celery and onion, and that's what's come to be known as soffritto generally. But it is from the verb soffriggere, so it's a process rather than an ingredient. Right, so the holy trinity is in the pot now, and as you can see, I haven't put it into a hot pot with hot oil because I like the oil and the vegetables to all heat up together so that all their flavour is released into the oil as it heats. So apart from the oil, the other ingredient to go in is the garlic. A clove of garlic here, which I've prepared. I've removed its soul. Basically, it's the sprouty bit in the middle of the garlic clove, but it is what will sit most on your digestion. So it'll be most prominent on your breath, and it'll be what you have difficulty digesting. The carrots, celery, onion and garlic, you just need to fry them off until the onion and the garlic have softened, but mostly the carrot, which is what takes longest. And that just will take a little bit of time. You can just think some beautiful thoughts and keep it moving. Keep an eye on the heat. What often happens is that this part underneath your chin becomes invisible to you. So it's a good idea from time to time, just turn the pan around so that you can see the opposite side again. The side that was under your chin is now opposite you, and you can just see what you might have been missing. So I think I'm just going to test one more bit of carrot. Yeah, I'm happy now. I need to make some space in the pan, so I'm just going to scoop out my veggies, all my soffritto ingredients, into a handy bowl, and we're just going to seal off the first of our beautiful osso bucco in the hot pan with all those flavours from the soffritto left behind. I don't want to move it around too much, I just want to seal it on one side. We've created quite a lot of smoke, which is quite normal at this stage of the game. Got to get one more turn on that one. There we go. All looking good. So I'm going to return all my lovely soft soffritto back into the pan. In this jug, I have a whole bottle of dry white wine. You might think that's a bit unusual because it's beef and you're thinking it should be red, but white is what is traditionally used. The next part of the process is to allow the alcohol to boil off. So basically, you need to use your nose for this bit. And when there's no sort of chemistry lab perfume coming off, you know that all the chemicals in the wine, the naturally occurring chemicals in the wine, have evaporated and what you're left with is the actual flavour of the wine itself, which is what you want. I can then add my next ingredient, which is the passata. No Italian mama is ever going to just open a can of whole tomatoes and pop them in. She's going to put them through a mouli, or a passatutto as we call them in Italy. A wonderful piece of kit. It's the precursor of the food processor, if you like. Look at that, beautifully rich, gorgeous. You just know this is going to be wonderfully sweet and fantastic. So you want this to be barely moving. The Italian word is crogiolare, which I think is so brilliantly onomatopoeic, really. Barely moving, and it just needs to simmer away. Now you can put this into an oven or you can leave it on the hob. Entirely up to you which you decide to do. But once this is falling away from the bone, it's basically ready, and I'm going to season it with some good sea salt at the very end. That's all there is to it. Okay, so here we go. There is the actual marrow bone. And now what I'm going to do is surround it with its gorgeous, rich and sticky steak, fallen apart completely in the cooking process. The whole thing just needs to be finished off with a ladleful of this wonderful tomatoey sauce. And that's definitely a plate of Milan.